You are listening to the FlowRadioNetwork.com podcast.
Hey, it's the holidays. I'm so excited to be right here with you today on Let's Talk About It. I want to call it the Holidays Conversations. Listen, I'm Pastor Tabatha. I want to greet you and just say God bless you and your holidays, and I'm praying that all your time is going well. We got to take a quick moment and talk about something that has caught headlines. Well, we're a little bit behind, but I thought it'd be something for us to just consider. Let's what you think about this? I want to talk about the Fantasia concerts, the definition of tour that she was on in Florida a couple of weeks ago, and Fantasia does or did what Fantasia does. Fantasia went to church. You already know. You've heard anything from Fantasia. Fantasia goes to church. For real. Fantasia knows Jesus. You can't deny that. Fantasia does not try to deny that she knows the Lord. Guess what? So in this concert, she breaks out and she's about to sing the song Abba, which was written by Jonathan David. And something erupts from one of the persons in her audience. They said something about how hard the times are, or how, kind of in a drooper because of where we are in society, in our lives right now. And Fantasia began to encourage her, began to witness, and began to just remind her that we have the authority and we have the ability to pray, and we need to be considering ourselves triumphant or more than conquerors. I mean, just went on to really encourage her and began to sing this song, this worship tune. Yes, I know Fantasia, who everybody knows is an R&B singer, but I'm gonna tell you, Fantasia is a Christian, and I know that there's a lot of discrepancy because Fantasia wasn't in church. But let me tell you what I think was the big deal. Fantasia at Fantasia's concert, singing after the Spirit of the Lord broke out in the place, and I know somebody's like, Spirit of the Lord ain't broke out in no Fantasia's place. The Spirit of the Lord broke out, and here's how you know, because 10 people gave their lives to Jesus Christ. Now, I want to just say that we have to be very careful about judging and about paying attention to things that don't really matter. Here's what matters. It matters that as we know we're in these evil last days, that we are giving people an opportunity to accept Jesus Christ. We're in the holidays. Everybody's talking about sharing gifts. Well, Jesus is the best gift that we can give, and Fantasia gave that at a concert. Now, I ain't mad. I'm glad. I say we win, because the kingdom of God understands that we're not fighting with Fantasia. We're not fighting her audience. And we understand that all of us have been called to a particular region with a particular person's attracted to our lives and our sphere for us to minister to. And so the persons that were at Fantasia's concert were the persons that will hear Fantasia. And thank God that Fantasia was talking about Jesus. And thank God that those lives were surrendered, and now they can rest assured for all eternity. I'm going to remind you about Romans 11:29. Here's what the word of the Lord says. It says, for the gifts and the call of God, they are irrevocable. That just means they are not withdrawn. They are not taken. And I know some of us want God to be like us. We want God to get mad because things are not played out like we think that they should be. But what if God on purpose is allowing Fantasia to have the audience that she's having on purpose, because those persons possibly wouldn't be sitting in our churches, wouldn't be in our pews, wouldn't be listening to our great sermons? What if God has navigated and situated on purpose Fantasia with the anointing to send her into arenas to make sure that persons, even though they're not in church, though they're in concerts, they can still come to Christ? I ain't mad about that. I wonder what you're thinking. I wonder what you said. I want to remind you that this is the day for us to make sure that we're not fighting against the gospel being proclaimed. And we absolutely celebrate, as the angels do, every time one soul repents and comes to the Lord Jesus. This is the day of victory. I say, keep on singing, Fantasia. Keep on sharing the good news of Jesus Christ. And because every time the gospel is preached, the good news is released, some heart is encouraged. And that, at the end of the day, is what this is all about. So I say, hey, don't hate. Let's celebrate. Let's be excited. And listen, for some of us, we may need to imitate, find out what is it that's drawing these people that Fantasia is drawing. I believe it's not about her. It's about the anointing. It's about her surrender. It's about her being real, even though everything in her life may not be all right with what we perceive to be all right. But thank God, God used anybody. My question to you today is, will you let him use you? He's using Fantasia. He can use you too. Listen. It's the definition of tour. Fantasia is doing it. So thank God for Fantasia. You talk to me. Send me something. PastorTab.org. Send me something. Go to my Facebook page. Just let me know what you're thinking. Go to flowradionetwork.com. Let us know what you're thinking. What are you thinking about Fantasia sharing the gospel and 10 people getting saved? Do you think it's possible? Do you think it's right? Do you think it's acceptable? Do you think we ought to be applauding it, or should we be continuing to assassinate the end result, which is lives coming to Jesus Christ? One more time, PastorTab.org, flowradionetwork.com. You can go to my Facebook page. I ain't scared. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about these lives coming to Jesus Christ. I want to encourage you. Don't talk about what she was doing. I want to encourage you to do something too. And we know prayer still works. We got to get out of here. We'll be right back. You sit there. It's going to be a great show. I'm telling you, God's showing out. And we get to talk about
it. We'll be right back with more hot talk.
And you're checking out.
Live from Houston, Texas. Texas to the world. We're global. We are global. We are international. We are flowradionetwork.com.
That sounds like some great holiday music. I want to say happy holidays, Merry Christmas, however you like to be greeted during this time. We want to say welcome to Let's Talk About It. It's the Holidation Conversations. I'm excited. Listen, we have exceptional guests today. So I'm telling you right now, you want to buckle down. You want to call somebody and say, listen, we need to plug in the Flow Radio Network right now because it's going down. The conversation is happening and you want to be a part of it. I'm excited to have with us today. It's my sister friend over there in Louisiana. Sister girl, she came on saying love and peace and love. I said, I like her already. We have an opportunity to talk today to Fox Rich. Can you welcome today our Let's Talk About It guest, Miss Fox Rich? Welcome to Let's Talk About It, Miss Rich. How are you?
I'm exceptionally well. Thank you so much, Pastor, for having me and for all of that good energy you're sending out. I feel right at home.
There you go. Listen, I'm telling you. I love your work. I love what you're doing. And I'd just like to take a moment to introduce you. I know that you are mother of all boys. Is that correct?
6 boys. Yes, ma'am. God got a funny sense of humor. I said I wanted a girl. I ended up with 6 boys and a set of twins.
Oh, my goodness. 6 boys. So your wife, your mother, you are advocate, you are author, you are a speaker, public speaker. And I think that when you are a college graduate, I love that. Not only do you have your bachelor's of science, but you have a master's of public administration. So we're talking to a sister that has some sense. Somebody better hear what I'm saying. We're absolutely delighted to know that you are a woman that has had experience with the law. I want to say with the law. You advocate the law. You made a statement about the law. We want to talk about it a little bit. When I say the law, I'm talking about the system, the prison system. But I want to say that I think sometimes we can be amazed to know that you can have such resume and intertwined in all of that wonderful accomplishment. There is a clause that names you in some places as ex-offender. Is that offensive to you at all?
Not at all. I earned it. And I'm still earning it. I'm still earning it because every day that you are able to maintain your sanity and your freedom in this world, being a formerly incarcerated person, it is a day well earned. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I love that. So she said, "Listen, I earned it, but then listen, more than earning that title, or that I'm gonna call it an experience, because that's what it was.
Yes.
You didn't allow that to stop you, and so you've taken your experience in life that wasn't so wonderful, but you're allowing it to work something incredible from your life towards the life of others. And so I want to just talk a little bit about, how does a woman as well versed, as intelligent, as creative, as should I say capable and able and skilled as you, find themselves in a situation where they're dealing with a prison sentence?
Well, I think one of the things is, Pastor Tabatha, I read this quote by James Allen in his book, As a Man Thinketh. And he said that circumstances don't make the man or woman. I know he meant to put woman in there. Circumstances don't make the man or woman. They reveal him to himself.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
So, everything that we are, that we have within us, it takes challenges and controversies and tough times in order to bring those things out of us. And that is what my hopeless state of desperation did for my family.
Okay.
My husband and I are high school sweethearts. I've been with him since I was 16 years old. So at this point, with 20 years of marriage under our belt and 29 years of dating,
Wow.
I've been with him longer than I've actually, over half of my life.
Wow.
We were faced with a financial situation that most people find themselves in. And in the midst of trying to open up our first family-owned business, the investor that we had pulled out on us. And it is amazing what you will do when you are concerned with what other people think about you.
Wow.
And our concern became, people are going to see us as failures. We can't fail. Our family is counting on us. And when we open up this business, it's going to do so much for, not only our family, but the community as a whole. And just that focus of hopelessness when the investor pulled out, just focusing on the wrong things. I read this quote one time that says, the glass is always full. Many people look at life and they say the glass is half empty if it's a half a cup of water. Some people that are optimistic look at it and say that the glass is half full. But literally, when you look at a glass of water, even if it is half filled, the top half of it is air and the bottom half is water. So technically, it is always full. And since we didn't see that the glass was always full, we reached this pit of despair and felt like in order for us to make it, after exhausting all other options, from family to bank loans to you name it, even throwing parties, trying to raise money, we just couldn't get what we needed that the investor had promised for us. So we attempted to regain financial solvency by taking the money from the place that had what we needed, which was a bank.
Wow.
And
so now tell me, how do you, what causes you, how do you even consider the bank, taking the money from the bank? How does that mindset? Honestly.
Like I said, I think, Pastor Tabatha, it just depends on how low you let yourself go into hopelessness.
Okay. Wow.
A person that has no hope has no future.
I got it.
And when you have no hope, you're willing to do anything.
Okay.
Desperate people do desperate
things. That's correct.
And we found ourselves as desperate people. As no matter how much abundance God had blessed us with, our health and our strength and our family and love, what we were desperate for was financial solvency. We wanted this great American dream, and we wanted it by any means necessary. We felt that the family was going to be better if we had it. And what we realized is that we put at risk the best thing that we could have had in life, and that was our family.
Right.
And so, sometimes God takes you through things so you can see what you were already working with. I'm just proud to report that after 19 years of incarceration, that my family is still together, and we are stronger than we ever have been, even though my husband is still not home.
Right. Okay. So you come up with this plan out of desperation. So can we take a moment, because there could be some persons listening to us right now. And I asked that question on purpose, not, because I think that we don't understand sometimes how allowing ourselves to just waddle in that sense of hopelessness, how dangerous that can be, and how we can consider, or there are things that we consider we would never do, but depending upon where we find ourselves, we can't ever really say what can enter our minds. That's right. Because you didn't have a criminal background.
No, ma'am. And I'm a college educated woman at the time. I've got 2 degrees.
Right.
But my desire and my husband's desire not to fail, we just took it by any means necessary approach to it. And, we just got to give more value to ourselves and to our families, because when we do, nothing is more important than who we are and what God has created us to do in this life. Nothing.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So you get caught. Are you caught at the bank, or you caught away from
I am not. My husband is. My husband and my husband and his nephew, and they were caught outside of the bank. My husband surrendered. Not only did he surrender, I turned myself in, and a couple of days later, after I had hired us a lawyer, and what really got complicated for us, because we were willing to take responsibility for the wrong we had done. They say that some people, it takes them an eternity to, quote unquote, get it. And then some people get it instantly.
Right.
I think it was before we even went in the bank when we all got it. But none of us had the courage to say, we are not going to do this.
Wow.
Nobody wanted to do it.
Okay.
It was not who we were.
Right.
But nobody had the courage to turn around.
Wow.
And so at any rate, we found ourselves accepting a plea bargain from the courts. My husband it was a 10 to 18 year term range for he and my nephew, and then it was going to be 5 years probation for me. While he was incarcerated, a lawyer comes along and tells my husband, hey, that's not a good deal. I can get you a better deal if you all withdraw those guilty pleas and hire me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when things really got ugly.
Oh, wow.
Because this attorney should have never said to people that had already been what's called boycotized. Boycotized is when you stand before the courts, you accept a plea deal, and you tell the courts everything that you did in the commission of your crime.
Right.
So they have all the evidence that they need. So there's no way that a court is going to come back and renegotiate with you when you've already told them everything that they need to prosecute you.
Right.
So we had some bad legal advice, which a lot of people are getting. Lawyers and unfortunately, Pastor Tabatha, lawyers and preachers are 2 people that have totally unaccountable. Lawyers and preachers got 2 totally unaccountable fields of work.
But you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
And it's unfortunate because they are 2 of the most powerful positions.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
And so at any rate, we withdrew the guilty pleas under the lawyer's advice. When he couldn't get any more money out of us, he dropped our matter, leaving us without legal representation. And the judge would not allow us they would not give us back another plea offer.
Oh, wow.
So we were forced into trial. By this time, we have no money. So a friend of mine I went to high school with had just passed the bar exam in October, had never had a trial before, and ended up having to go to trial with our case because the judge wouldn't let him off the case.
Goodness.
And so my husband ended up getting sentenced to 60 years in prison as a first-time offender. 60. Most people think I say 6 when I say that.
Oh, my goodness.
60 years in prison, 60, as a first-time offender in a crime that nobody received medical treatment in, less alone went to the hospital. And now, don't get me wrong.
I understand.
But I know for a fact that our actions, because I knew some of those, I banked there.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew those people. So I knew that just the idea of someone coming in and trying to take something from you while you're at work, trying to make a living, trying to do what's right for you and yourself, had to be terrifying for them. And Lord, my husband and I both reaped for those actions and the harm that we brought into those sisters' lives.
Right.
But to give someone a life sentence in a crime that no life was taken in, my husband's matter is just a prime example of what is happening in not only Louisiana's criminal justice system, but in every former slave-holding state in the United States of America.
Wow.
All of the top states in our country that have the highest prison population were all former slavery states.
Right. Right. I did do that research because I'm very, very, very involved in prison ministry, and absolutely that is a reality. Now, your husband gets sentenced 60 years, and you get sentenced how long did you?
He comes home on bond while we're going through the trial court proceedings, and I get pregnant with twins. Their names are Freedom and Justice. It's like God really has a funny sense of humor. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. They are 17 years old now, and both are in college and graduated from high school 2 years early, started college at 16 years old. So we are really proud of what our entire family has been able to do under this unjust judicial system.
Right.
But so here I am, I'm pregnant with twins. And what they did was, because they found out I was having twins, I had gotten arrested. Well, let me tell you the other piece. While my husband was on trial, and we're seeing that this is about to be a modern day lynching, just not from a tree, but from a man in a black robe and in a courtroom. We decided that my husband had been on a trial before up in New Jersey as a juror, and after while the court proceedings were going on, one of the defendant approached him after trial had convened. Had been dismissed, and was just talking to him about his matter. So my husband had this idea about what he had experienced and says, baby, maybe we just need to talk to the jurors and just let them know that we are not these horrible criminalized people that the DA is trying to make us out to be. And so, I'm like, desperate again.
Right.
Like, okay, well, we'll just try it. Well, we went and talked to two of those jurors and let them know that, hey, well, the first one we talked to, the man was like, we understand. It just didn't make sense to us. And the second lady we talked to, by the time we made it to our house, it was late at night. I think the poor lady was horrified. And she says, oh, they told us not to talk to you all. I said, yes, ma'am, I know. I'm so sorry. But we just, want you to know that we are just not these bad people.
Right.
Anyway, needless to say, the next morning she had called the sheriff's office. So when we got to court for trial, I was rearrested and placed on a $500,000 bond for jury tampering.
Oh, my goodness.
So here we are. They kept him in court till they found him guilty. A month later, I'm sitting in jail. He's sitting in jail. Before he got sentenced, they had to take care of my medical needs. And when they took me to the doctor, they found out I was here I am in handcuffs and shackles with an armed guard outside my door and an armed guard on my side getting the ultrasound done. And these two beautiful heads pop up on the screen. And all you can do is say, but God.
Right.
For God to give me something so beautiful at the darkest moment of my life. Two babies, not just one.
Right.
It was a sign to me, Pastor Tabatha, that God was saying, look, you little fool.
I still got something greater.
It's gonna be all right. It's going to be all right. I don't know how it's going to be all right, but it's going to be all right. And so they sentenced my husband. I stayed out. They eventually allowed me to reduce my bond from $500,000 and allowed me to bond out. I stayed home for a year and 2 months until after I had given birth to the babies. And then I went to prison and took a plea bargain for 2 7-year sentences for the jury tampering and 1 5-year sentence for accessory after the fact to armed robbery. So I've been home from prison now for 14 years. And every day that I wake up, I'm still doing time because my husband is, I was just as culpable as he was. Right. And the sentence that he got did not fit the crime that we committed.
And therein,
so we just got a lot of work to do.
But it shows us where this fire comes from that's in you. And most of us who live passionate, purposeful lives, it's not because we've had it cute and pretty. It's because we've Absolutely.
You sure know what to say.
Absolutely.
You sure know what to say.
That is my truth, and I know it's your truth. And listen,
yes,
for the truth of the person that's listening to us, that's having a hard time, maybe what God is really doing is positioning you for the time of your life, for your purpose to be brought into fruition. So don't move, because we're coming right back. I want to give you the rest of the story. I know it sounds a little something, but I'm telling you, something great has come from something grievous. And listen, God wants to inspire you during these holidays. So you stay tuned. We're coming back with Fox Rich in just a moment.
Ma'am.
Oh, my God.
On the go, you can still get into the flow. Tune in via any mobile or portable Wi-Fi enabled device. Simply go to your app store and download the free TuneIn app, type Flow, spelled F-L-O, Radio Network in the search bar, and look for the orange Flow Radio logo. Click the heart to place us in your favorites. Now you are all set to listen to the Flow on the go. FlowRadioNetwork.com.
Missed a show? To catch up, subscribe to the FlowRadioNetwork.com podcast via the iTunes Store, Google Play, or via www.flowondemand.com. That's F-L-O ondemand.com. Flow Radio Network podcast.
Great day. I'm Pastor Tabatha. So excited to invite you personally to meet me for lunch on Wednesdays. Hey, grab your sandwich, grab your soup, whatever you need to. Make sure you grab your Bible because I want to feed your spirit as you feed your natural man. Listen, 12 o'clock noon, Central Standard Time, FlowRadioNetwork.com. It's Wednesday Word with Pastor Tabatha. Listen, I'm looking forward to having lunch with you. All right, here we are. We're right back with Miss Fox Rich, and I'm telling you, she is enriching our spirits today, making sure we all understand that you may have a little trouble, but your trouble can't stop your triumph. So I want you to be encouraged today. Listen, if Rich can get through it, how about this? You can too. So listen, we know that you were sentenced two different sentences. I think you said a 7-year and then a 5-year.
Yes, ma'am.
Longer to short is those years did not keep you trapped. You have been released, and since you've been released, you've been running, and you started a work. One of the things that I love about those of us who choose, because if we're going to overcome, it's a choice. We have to choose. Victory can be in our vicinity, but we have to make the choice to go after it. So you chose victory. You chose not to allow your situation to dictate your life sentence, the rest of your life. I want to ask you, how in the world, before we talk about this work you're doing, how do you hold on when things are falling apart? Tell me how you do that.
I think one of the things my husband and I use all the time, Pastor, is we were facing 297 years in prison.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And so what we say is, if it ain't 297 years, it ain't nothing.
I feel like the Lord is, this is a small thing, right? Wow.
Yes. If it ain't 297 years, it ain't nothing. And then I think to this quote all the time that says, I'm a child of the universe.
Come on.
No less than the trees and the stars. I've got a right to be here.
Come on. Absolutely.
So I know that God has a plan for my life. And so all I got to do is stick to the plan.
There you go. Stick to the plan. And I believe the plan for you to be successful, for you to be impactful. And absolutely, you're doing that. Let's talk a little bit about the work that you're doing now. I know that your passion is to make sure that youth and our youngsters are not caught up in the prison system. Talk to me about what you're doing for youth or their families. How do you work with these families to try and keep them from this prison system?
One of the things that we had the opportunity to do, Pastor, is we sat on the governor's board for juvenile justice and delinquency prevention for 8 years under 2 different governors here in Louisiana. Mm-hmm. And that gave us the information that we needed to know personally that more had to be done. Mm-hmm. What I found out by serving on that board is that the majority of, Louisiana sentences more children as adults than any other place in the nation.
Oh, wow.
Louisiana has the highest prison population in the whole wide world per capita. We talk about China, we talk about Russia, we talk about all of these third world countries and their laws, but Louisiana has the highest prison population on the planet Earth. The third thing is that not only do they sentence more teenagers to, not only do they sentence more youth as adults, mm-hmm. Not only do Louisiana sends more children to prison, and they also sentence more of them sentence more of them as adults. Meaning, like if you're 15, you're 14 years old, and you commit a crime, they're not giving them the opportunity to be sentenced as juveniles. They send them on into. So when you get to a big prison like Angola, and you've got a 15-year-old there, or you meet someone who has been there for 15, 20 years because they came when they was 15, 16 years old. These are the types of eye-opening things that have to say to you. Now, keep in mind, the same statistics that say that we are sentencing these children more often and to more serious crimes here in Louisiana, it also says that white youth are arrested and charged more often than blacks, but blacks are the ones that are going to prison.
Wow, incredible. So how do you help us with that?
Well, one of the things that we did was we had a life skills. The state contracted us to teach life skills to the young female offenders in the state. So we were able to train them on how to interview for a job, how to properly present themselves, how to even write out a check when most of them had never even seen a check or knew anything about banking whatsoever. So being able to serve the young people and teaching them just basic things that they need to know in order to survive life is one of the methods that we've been able to do. On an adult level, I started an organization called Coalition for Mercy, and you can check out our website, which is coalitionformercy.org. What we're striving to do now is to address the policies, the laws that are causing our people to be entrapped in the slavery system that we have here in Louisiana.
This Coalition for Mercy, which is doing this work to address the laws. One of the things that I note that you have is you made a statement that prison is a form of slavery which must be abolished. Talk to me a little bit about prison being as a form of slavery.
Well, listen, when you look at the 13th Amendment to the Constitution that gave us freedom, right? There's a little clause at the end of the 13th Amendment to the Constitution that says that we're abolishing slavery in the United States of America that says unless you are found guilty of committing a crime. So the only way in the United States, according to the 13th Amendment, that you can be a slave still is if you are guilty of committing a crime.
Or if you're found guilty of, because
if you are found guilty of committing a crime, except as punishment for, it says exactly, the 13th Amendment to the Constitution declared that neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for a crime, whereof the party shall have, and then it goes on from there. So in essence, it says that the only way that you can still be a slave is if you are convicted of a crime.
Okay.
Well, look at what they do when you are convicted of a crime. When you're convicted of a crime here in particular in Louisiana, you have to hire a lawyer, you have to hire a bail bondsman, you have to, all of these systems that are in place that require capital in order to work your way through them. Then when you get incarcerated, like when they would sell off slaves that didn't act right, or that they couldn't break, they moved them to another plantation, sell them to another plantation. Well, they do the same thing in the penal system. If they've got a slave that they're making money off of, because keep in mind, over half of the prisoners in Louisiana are housed in privately owned facilities.
Okay.
So that means for-profit prisons. Over half are in for-profit prisons. Well, if you've got somebody in your bed and they trying to stir up your other slaves, then you ship them off to another prison. You send them out to another prison. Well, when you get shipped to another prison because they want to move you, or you cost too much because you got medical problems, right? They bag you up in the middle of the night in the wee hours, and nobody knows you leaving. Okay, that's the same thing they used to do to us in slavery.
Interesting contrast.
If you gotta go to the doctor, your family has to pay for you to go to the doctor. I have to put money on my husband's books. If you want to talk to your loved one, you got to pay for that. Do you know they are even trying to move in some places? Like one place was Dallas, Texas. Dallas, Texas had accepted a contract with a private phone company where they would do away with visitation, and the only way that people could see their loved ones was through video visits. Do you hear me?
Wow. Mm-hmm.
These are the types of things. So they're continuing to make money off of us while we're incarcerated, not to count the $25,000 that the private health facility makes off of us.
Right.
So it's no doubt that, it's no doubt. And let me give you another example. You get out on parole. Louisiana is one of the few states where when you get out on parole, one of the few states that when you have completed your sentence, you get your right to vote back. But in states like Florida, no matter what you do, you never, ever get your right to vote back if you are a convicted felon.
Right.
In Louisiana, you can't vote as long as you're on parole. But look at this. You got to pay taxes while you're on parole.
Right.
So it's still the same of representation, taxation without representation.
Oh, that's great. That's
I
great.
can't get away with my taxes, but you telling me I can't vote? That's an oxymoron. That don't even match.
Right. Well, that's good
These
information.
are the types of things that we are allowing them to do to us because it may not have been our son or our daughter that was incarcerated or arrested yet. I know for a fact, Pastor Tabatha, because if this wouldn't happen in my family, child, I would care less about our criminal justice system in Louisiana or anywhere else for that matter.
Absolutely. But then, this is when you start to see purpose, though. You can't.
Yes, ma'am.
Fox, you got to see this purpose in this because what you just said is if it had not been to me.
If it had not happened to me,
I wouldn't be thinking about this. But guess what?
Ma'am.
Because of your temperament and because of what God had already invested in you, God knew that if it touched you, then you would make sure that it touched somebody else. And so thank God for making pain pay. That's what we call payment for your pain. So what you're doing is you're punishing these systems and institutions by informing. Knowledge is the best way to dismantle anything. And so with you going in, getting that information, and then you're intellectual, you have the ability to communicate. You have the ability to comprehend. Hello, somebody, what you've taken in. So this becomes very important. So it couldn't have just been anybody. It had to be a you. It had to be a you because we needed you. We needed someone with your passion, someone that was going to be as devoted to the cause as you. 60 years is a long time. It's a long time. 5 years, 1 year locked up can break anybody down. I want to just say that.
Without a doubt. Yes, indeed, Pastor Tabatha.
Come out and still soar and still have something that you want to plant back as a seed. Hey, Rich, we got to give it up to you. That is phenomenal. That's called the winner. And we bless God for that. We bless God for that. So what are you doing with this coalition of mercy? You're advocating or you're trying to petition.
We are working to pass laws and make the system itself. One of the things that we are addressing, we just had a conference call last night. And again, your listeners can check out our website, which is coalitionformercy.org, and my website, which is foxrich.com. We are talking about things like geriatric parole. No human being should be in our system for more than 20 years and not ever be able to be heard from again. Let me tell you what they're doing in Louisiana. Every black man that kills somebody, they charge him with second-degree murder, okay?
Wow.
Not manslaughter, not the different grades of manslaughter. Two people get in a barroom fight and something happens. They don't charge them with manslaughter in Louisiana. They charge them with second-degree murder. Why?
Okay.
Because second-degree murder, Louisiana is the one of only 2 states in the United States where second-degree murder is an automatic life sentence.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yes.
But what do you say? What do you say? What do you say, Fox, to people who say, well, as you came on so very boldly and said, listen, I earned it. You said, listen, I declare I was guilty. I did it and I paid for it. What do you do with people who say, but these people, they're guilty? What do you say to people who say they earned this? This is what they deserve. What do you say to them?
I say that my God is a forgiving God, and my country is a basically Christian-oriented country. Okay. So how can we talk and profess Christianity and not implement the practices of Christ?
You're talking good.
Christ said that we ought to forgive. Who am I not to forgive? Christ said that he who is without sin, let him cast the first stone.
Right.
Maybe you didn't take somebody's life with a gun, but you probably talked about them so bad and slayed their name in the community that they wanted to go somewhere and die.
Wow.
That their honor was dead. That their spirit was dead.
That's good.
So we all, we get real good at tushu when it, especially my Caucasian sisters and brothers.
Right.
Boy, we'll forget all about how we annihilated the Native Americans and held in captivity people of color,
Right.
and how we still want and made them use a separate faucet just because God had blessed them with skin color and didn't bless them with some.
Come on. You're talking good. You're talking good.
So I'm just saying,
Right. But this is how we need to be sensitive, because I'm saying I'm very passionate. I tell people, I remember being arrested. I've been being arrested right out of college. Life was supposed to be over. I remember thinking it was done. And I remember getting a second chance. Now, I had a long probation. Many people are like, what? Yeah, I had long probation, but it scared me straight. I didn't need, I needed that one time. But I've also witnessed people, Rich, who need that they're not scared straight that first time, but they still deserve a chance. I want to talk to us, and I'm just saying to us today that we must be cognizant of what's going on. We must get that information, and we must take the position of Jesus Christ. We must take his position, because outside of his position, none of us have a position. I want to talk
That's
to somebody.
right.
And so
you better say that.
Absolutely excited about this coalition of mercy, because that's what he gives to us day to day.
Yes.
Mercy, undeserved goodness, undeserved kindness, undeserved love in places that we wouldn't get anything from anyone but a loving Father. And so we need to be emulating that kind of love, that kind of example in our earth realm. And so what you're doing is incredible. It's needed, and what we must do is keep getting people involved. Now, I know you're working from Louisiana, but are you helping work in other states, or are you?
Yes, I have the honor of being a part of a national organization called the National Council for Incarcerated and Formerly Incarcerated Women and Girls, and we are doing a summit around the country at Ivy League schools, at their law schools, bringing up the issues of how mass incarceration is affecting women. Right now, there is an 800% increase of women going to prison, and in particular, it's women of color. We're locking up our women. When you lock up a woman, you lock up the whole family, because especially when you talk about 70% of all African-American households are headed by women. Right. So if you take the woman away, you've taken away the primary caregiver.
Right.
So I'm really excited about the work that the National Council is doing. We were founded by a former an attorney and formerly incarcerated attorney out of Boston, Massachusetts. Her name is Andrea James, and she is just phenomenal. So if anyone is listening, they can, to your listening audience.
Yes, please.
Yes, ma'am. Andrea James, it is National Council for Incarcerated and Formerly Incarcerated Women and Girls, but you can see that the work that we're doing across the nation as well. But that's one of the ways that they can join in. Another one is following us on Facebook with the Coalition for Mercy. We have a Facebook page as well. My Facebook page is Fox Rich. But I would love to hear from your listening audience and be able to share with them what I've learned along the way and what our agenda is for trying to transform our system. Trump said that he was going to help the black people. That's what he said. President-elect Trump said he was going to help the black people. So I do intend to write him a letter and ask him for his help.
There you go.
I do intend to ask him to revamp the laws that Bill Clinton put in place that have drastically, it doubled our prison population. The truth and sentencing laws that said if you commit a violent crime, you've got to do 85% more time. Pastor Tabatha, I voted for that law, and then I turned around and watched it be applied to my husband. The 3 strikes and you're outlaw. I voted for that law, Pastor Tabatha. Then I turn around and I sit in the courtrooms and I go to the prison and I watch the men that may have had 3 pounds of got caught on a marijuana charge 3 times. Now marijuana's legal, but they still serving a life sentence.
Wow.
Huh? Come on now.
Yeah. But those are things that we need to start talking about and thinking about, because until we begin to think differently, and this is one of the things that your experience helped you do, recaptured your mind. It focused you. It gave you a different way to process information. So until we start thinking differently, then we won't start talking differently. And when we're not talking and thinking differently, then we can't take the necessary action that we need to get the transformation that we're wanting in our lives. But hey, I declare today, as your name is radiating now in somebody's spirit, Miss Fox Rich can help me. Yes, she can. She can help you. You need to reach out to that Coalition of Mercy. You need to go and find her on Facebook. You need to connect with that National Council for incarcerated women. For incarcerated women, you need to reach out, and you need to begin to network with people who understand the kind of situation that you're dealing with. I believe this more than anything else. We don't have rights to brag unless we have gotten through what has dragged us. So we now have an opportunity to get enlightened, to get encouraged, to just stay with the cause of freedom, to stay with the cause of liberty. That's what this is all about. This is about saying justice is for all of us, not just some of us. And this is the day that we're going to connect and get it done. Hey, listen, this has been a great conversation. I'm going to have to get back in touch with you because we're going to bring you back so we can. I'm going to hold you to that. Listen, we're going to do it because this is the conversation we need to be having, and especially for people of color. We deal with incarceration and the denigration of our families in a way that others don't necessarily understand. But here it is. You're a living example that we can get through it, and then you can tell us and show us how to do it. So we applaud you. We applaud your spirit, your courage, and thank you for the work that you're doing. Continue. Thank you so much. We love you. Keep doing it. Love you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, make that contact.
Thank you for listening to the FlowRadioNetwork.com podcast. Be sure to listen live online at FlowRadioNetwork.com or via TuneIn.com or the TuneIn app. Just search for Flow Radio Network. That's FLO RadioNetwork.com. Click on the orange Flow Radio logo and get into the flow.